Start recording. And let me get the streams up and running. CIDER YouTube stream. I have to log in as CIDER, not Soundbites. All right. So that looks like it's working on YouTube. Now let's get Facebook. One of these days, I might have everything done on time, you know? And then what would happen? The world would collapse.
No problem.
I know mine would.
So if we put this over here, and we can monitor YouTube and Facebook. We have a meeting, and I want to go live. Better than going dead, I guess.
Yep. I don't think that's the forum room behind you. What is it?
What did I pick? Just a generic theater. Yeah, I guess we missed the forum room. Let me, there we go.
That's the staff cap.
With Charlie's, yeah, the staff cafe at East High. Charlie's giant arrow pointing to the Ethernet box.
Right.
All right.
Apple cider trivia. Name that room.
Yeah. Copy.
It's from Clue. It's the theater.
Modify.
One of the rooms in Clue.
Paste. Start.
Professor Plum.
Title. What is title? Title is today. It's the 12th, right?
Yes.
Yesterday we had an interesting, 1-11-22. 1-1-1-2-2. Okay, and go live on Facebook. Facebook is starting. Facebook is started. Alrighty, now we're just waiting for Shirley. No, I need agenda. Now, where's the agenda text? Gotta spell things right.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I better change my name.
CIDER window. There's my Safari window. Okay, that fits. Alright, does our YouTube video working? Yep. Alright, so zoom on, Safari off. Alright, well, let me go see if I can find Shirley. Thought she was in the other room. She was waiting for the 7:30 board meeting to start.
Yeah, right.
Alright, let me get some windows queued up here.
In Sweden, my life, yep. In Sweden, they have a model of the solar system that's hundreds of miles in circumference. The center is in Stockholm, and the other planets are in places around the country.
Neat.
I know her. Can't hear you, Chief.
At 1 to 20 million scale it is.
Oh boy.
Wonder what city is Jupiter?
Let's see. Here's a picture of it. Doesn't have the cities mapped on top of the planet map. Let me see if this will list it. Jupiter is in the Arlanda airport in Marsta.
Right.
40 kilometers away from the sun. Gotta unmute yourself, Shirley.
Why doesn't she show us being muted?
She does to me. No?
Yeah,
I can see Carol's muted and so is David. And Carol?
Yeah.
Carol and Carol are muted.
Yep.
Anymore.
Because you're the one supposed to be
Yep.
talking.
Sorry. Should I officially start the meeting then? Since you guys
Sure.
have probably been chanting a few minutes here. All right, so it's about, what, 7:16? Charlie?
Yeah, we don't actually keep time
Yes.
like we do for the board meetings. So, I mean, you can call it whatever you
Okay.
This is still not the
All
board
right,
meeting.
you're right. We don't. I know. For some reason, that's where my head is at today. All right. Well, welcome to our first meeting of 2022. And I hope everyone had a good Christmas and Santa was good to everybody and gave them lots of toys and pretty things for the women, right? And we also, we made $25 from Amazon Smile over the holiday season. So, wow, big bucks.
Yay.
So that's good. Something more for the till.
$25.02.
Yeah, $25.02. So I hate to see how much money you actually spent that we only got $25, but hey, every penny counts, right?
That's right.
It's all on the plus side. So, all right. Well, then I guess, Steve, you're all set. You can start it off. You want to do news or I know Carol had asked about the CES, so I don't know anybody who went to CES or knows what happened at CES. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah,
too,
I
or-
haven't been able to catch up on what's going on. Several of the blogs are talking about new chips that are coming. One of the big things about CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show, in fact, they kind of shortened it now, so it's just CES. It doesn't stand for anything anymore, but it's still the Consumer Electronics Show. Typically, it's stuff we're going to see this Christmas, sometimes next Christmas. But one of the biggest things that so far, as what I'm skimming through here, is Intel announced new CPUs. They have a roadmap that they publish on how their chips are going to progress over the years. And they said a week or so ago that their new chips are going to be as fast as the Apple Silicon chips because we're seeing the Apple Silicon chips are so darn fast that it's, let me go to speaker view here. The Apple Silicon chips are so amazingly fast that it's just leaving the Intel chips sort of in the dust. In fact, I've noticed that myself on the club computer, that when I'm processing the audio files, the 2-hour audio file on the old Intel computer, even though it was a quad i7, would take about 6 minutes to process. And on the new M1 Pro, it takes about 90 seconds. And that is even with Audacity not being updated for the M1. That's Audacity running in the Rosetta translator. So it's that much faster.
May I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah.
This may just be my incompetence, but I decided to get daring tonight because I followed the Zoom on my MacBook, and then on my iPad, I follow the YouTube video to make sure it's going and the sound is on and things like that. So I decided to add Facebook also. And from your end, does that look like it should be all right?
It looks okay.
Well, it's
I'm not monitoring the audio. Let me see.
Well, my problem is that I'm on Facebook.com and I search for Apple Cider Computer User Group. Got that. And I've got the 2022-01-12 Apple Cider live stream, and I've got a black square. What am I doing wrong?
I don't know offhand. I'm seeing it right on my screen.
Well, if that's okay, then I won't worry about whether I get that or not.
Are you in the Facebook app or the website?
Website?
Try refreshing the website.
I can do that. All right. Keeping going here.
That's interesting that it's not showing.
Yeah, no, there you are. Thank you. Good, thank you.
Apple cider. Let's just see. It should tell me it's live now. There it is. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I
Test,
have
test,
the
test.
volume on the iPad turned way down so it doesn't confuse the heck out of me.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing. I have it maybe down too far unless no. When I refreshed, it went automatically to mute.
Yeah.
There you are. Got the picture, got the voice. All right. If it happens again, I'll know what to try to play around with, and I won't have to bother you. Hopefully. Thank you, sir.
Yep. If I'm really good, I don't know if it'll work. I can have Facebook next to YouTube on my iPad. Let's see if that's going to work. Nope. I can't get both videos at the same time. Alrighty. Where was it? Oh yeah, Intel is frantically trying to announce that they are going to catch up to Apple in the super whiz bang speed department. One of the advantages that Apple has with the silicon on chip, the SoC, is that the CPU, the GPU, the RAM, the storage, everything is on one chip. So it can just talk to each other so much faster. The CPU doesn't have to go out the memory bus to look at the DIMM chips and then bring memory back in. So just the whole fact that everything runs so much faster is going to one of the main reasons why the M1 is so much faster than typical Intel chips. But Intel and AMD are both announcing new chips that are supposed to be that much faster. So all the PC companies are announcing faster and faster PCs. Let's see. Hopefully, the manufacturing delays will be slowed down. I'm not seeing if anything is talking about that yet. New 5G phones were announced at CES. One of the weird things about CES is it used to be the week after Macworld, which was the first week in January, and then CES was the second week in January. And so there was always a big thing about Mac companies. Do they go to the Macworld show, which is Mac only? Or do they go to the CES show, which is everybody? And so there were some companies that were happy when Apple stopped doing Macworld, so now they can just focus on CES. Samsung did show off a foldable tablet. They've had several foldable phones over a couple of generations, which is kind of interesting because then the fold folds up and fits in your pocket better. But now the foldable tablet means that you can have a tablet that's about the size of say, the iPad mini, but then when it unfolds, it's the size of the iPad Pro. So that's kind of a neat option. They're calling it the Flex S tablet. No price listed. That's also the big thing about CES is that hardly anyone has any prices listed because they don't know what it's going to sell for. It's a lot of times it's just a mock-up. It's not really even a prototype or a working model. And there was a big story last year that because CES got shut down in 2020 for COVID, the 2021 show was pretty small and mostly virtual, and so this year they did go to an in-person again, but they were cutting. They were being real strict about the attendance list, so that they didn't have too many people in the Las Vegas convention centers. A couple of interesting news in the car world too. BMW released a color, well, not released, is talking about a color changing car. That's been a big thing in sci-fi shows, where the outside of your car can change colors. And Mercedes announced an electric car with 1,000 kilometer range. So what is that, like
600 miles.
600, yeah, 600 miles, yeah. So we're in the mode of concept cars. Basically, BMW has the body panel made of e-ink, so like your Kindle tablet or watch screen. so you can change the color on your car. They did that in the Cannonball Run movie, what, 30 years ago, where the girls in the Lamborghini went blowing by a cop in the white Lamborghini and then went into a car wash and came out in a red Lamborghini because they washed the white paint off. Then in the Cannonball Run remake, it was a female cop who wasn't swayed by the driver's ample charms. The couple of other things I'm reading here on is the Chevy Equinox EV. A lot of electric vehicles are coming out. The Equinox is starting around 30,000, which is similar to the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y. Chevy Silverado truck. The Ford F-150 truck is generating a lot of excitement. You can power your house with the truck for a couple of days if you lose power in your house. But then it takes several more days to charge the truck back up again once you get power back.
And Steve, what do they call the front of the truck? There's no motor in there. You can store suitcases.
Yeah, so the front
What-
boot. So patterned after a lot of the English cars, where the boot was in the back
The front. It's the front.
the frunk. Yeah, the front trunk. So you have a lot more little cubby spaces you can stick extra storage, and being able to. One of the big thing now that we're running into, that we've had electric cars for a while, is we're running into batteries that are wearing out. And one of the big criticisms of the Tesla Model 3 was it was like $15,000-$20,000 to replace the battery pack. So they're working on making that less expensive, and they're also working on making it easier so that the battery pack can be dropped out fairly easily and a new battery pack put in. So it might only be an hour or two at a repair shop instead of weeks to replace your battery pack. GM has gone to what do they call it? It's not a unibody. They have basically a rolling chassis with the electric motors and the battery stuff and all of that, and then you can put whatever body you want on it. A car body, an SUV body, a small truck body, and so it's all kind of interchangeable type stuff, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, last summer when Ford came out with the F-150 electric, the head of the whole division that was developing it was a young woman from China. Her name was Zhang. And at the time I saw a commercial featuring this Zhang, I was getting radiation treatment, and my doctor over at Hillside was Dr. Zhang. So I told her it must be her cousin or something. But the ad that they ran, this woman is sitting in the truck, and there were 70 F-150s lined up behind her, and there were 10 railroad cars lined up. So they put the 70 trucks into the 10 railroad cars, and then the one Chevy F-150 towed it away with a single belt to tie it up.
Wow.
It was pretty impressive. Of course, it's just as flat ground and all that, but it was quite an interesting commercial. I'm surprised I didn't see it more often, over the year.
I wonder if it got pulled for exceeding their claims.
I think it may be that I don't think the thing's on sale yet or available yet.
That could be too.
I may be wrong.
I think you're wrong. I don't think there's big sales, but we can find that out, I guess.
Well, it's on Ford's website. 2022 Ford F-150. No, I don't want to do a survey.
The name is the Lightning.
Yeah. Yep. So it looks like it's available for purchase now.
Cool.
Yes, let cookies in. I don't care.
course, they could be just holding off a little bit till they get them charged up.
Yeah. Yeah, is the dealer going to top off the charge for you, or just give you enough charge to get home?
Right.
Yeah, that was always the range anxiety of electric vehicles, is a big deal, and I see a time coming when you might have a regular gasoline car for longer trips, but you're day to day going to work, going to the grocery store. Your second car might be an electric car. Like with us, Shirley doesn't drive that often, um, and so she'd be fine with an electric car. So we're actually looking, when her lease is up, we're looking at getting a hybrid, and never have to put gas in it because it's always charged up far enough that we need it to go. And then the farther future is the whole remote driving, where you don't need to own a car. If you need to drive somewhere, a car shows up and takes you. It's almost like city people. People that live in big cities often don't have personal cars. If they need to go somewhere, they'll take a taxi or a subway. So we're seeing interesting changes in urban mobility.
How does an electric car work on a long trip? Like, what if you go 400 miles and need to charge it? How long does it take? Or how do you do it?
It depends on what charging station you can find. So that's the biggest deal now is just like in the early days of gasoline vehicles, the gas stations had to get built along all the roads. So now there are electric charging stations being built, especially along the thruway. And most of the electric cars um, on the navigation system will be able to plot your route based on where the chargers are. So if you're going a long distance, it can tell you where there's a charger, so you can charge along the way. And if there's a fast charger, then it may only be an hour or two to do a full charge. So like you stop for stop for lunch or stop for dinner and get a full recharge going. When you have your electric car in your own house, that you're running off just the regular 110, it's an all-night kind of thing to recharge. So a lot of people will get an extra 220 line. Most houses already have a 220 volt line, 20 amp circuit for their electric clothes dryer. And so you can either put a second circuit in or share that circuit to charge your car. So you don't use your dryer when you're charging your car, or vice versa. But the higher power circuit you get, the faster the car can charge. And the car manufacturers are doing more work on getting faster recharges. That was one of the big advantages of a hydrogen fuel cell, is it acts pretty much like gasoline now, where you drive into a hydrogen station, you fill your tank in a couple 3 minutes, and then you drive away. Hydrogen is a lot bigger in California. In fact, many states, and California is probably one of the most aggressive, are pushing for, was it 50% electric vehicles in the next 5 years or something like that?
Am I correct that Toyota is dropping their fuel cell vehicle as in discontinuing?
I haven't read that, but it almost doesn't surprise me because it's a catch-22. No one wants to buy a fuel cell car until there's stations, and no one will build stations until there's car.
Right.
So I
then
think
is the business of the future like having a hotel / restaurant / charging station?
yeah.
Like one-stop shopping, you can spend the night, charge your car, and eat. Do current ones have restaurants? Like, what do people do for the 2 hours?
Well, there's a bunch of charging stations down at Eastview Mall, so you can charge your vehicle while you're shopping. Um, Up in Fairport, in the village parking, there's several charging stations. Right now, one of the big problems is that each company has their own charging methodology and their basically their own plug. So the Tesla plug won't fit into the Ford. Um, they are companies are working on a universal standard, so you don't have to go to a specific company's charging station, and someplace like the mall doesn't have to put in 6 different kinds of charging stations. So if you drive up in your Nissan Leaf, you you don't have to wait for the last 3 Leaf guys to leave. You can use any of the chargers that are there, not just the ones for the Nissan. In fact, I've read that's a big problem at truck stops, where people will park in front of a charging station even though they don't need charged, and will leave the car there for hours rather than topping off and then moving out of the way. So someone who does need to charge can't get to the charger.
How do you pay for the charge?
Um, Tesla had an interesting thing in the early days where you could buy free, basically, they included charging in the cost of the car, so that you could charge at a Tesla charger for free. But most of the other ones, you put your credit card in and you pay for the electricity just like you would
Okay.
for gasoline.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's usually not a actual credit card. It's an account card
Yeah.
for the service that specializes in that, in charging for electricity.
And not all of the charging stations may be run by the company. So the Tesla charger you go to might not be owned by Tesla. Could be a third party company that put it in.
I know we live in the town of Brighton, and the library has a couple of charging stations.
Yep.
They've had them for quite a while.
I see that at a lot of office complexes I go to, that quite frequently there are several charging stations right up front.
Mhm.
So there's all the handicap spots and all the charging station spots. And those of us able-bodied people have to park way in the back. No.
Well, I saw it down in Fairport, down at the landing site there, the parking behind the main street there. There were some charging stations way in the back, kind of where the Colonial Bell office is, down that way I saw.
And across the street, they're over by the where the Boy Scout trees were.
Oh,
Um,
yes, there's a couple over there too. Parking lot where they have their, um, you know, the farmer's market.
And I
Kind of
assume
thing.
as the demand increases, we're going to see them around more and more.
Yep.
Well,
Well, I
I
think
guess
the electric vehicles is part of Biden's Build Back Better plan
Right.
too.
Right.
well,
Right.
plus we're trying to get away from carbon, which is the exhaust and everything like that. So you have to slowly start to work your way in so that people are more and more attuned to wanting to buy that versus,
I expect
the older
that
cars.
Build Back Better will enforce some standardization,
Mhm.
for electric charging systems. And
Yeah.
they're planning on building a lot with government funds, and they're going to want to standardize it. One of my pet peeves for ages has been the fact that they can't standardize what side the gas tank is on in cars. Even a Chevy, some models have it on the driver's side, some on the other side.
Yep.
And when we go to the gas station, people are queuing up trying to get to the right side or the left side. And why? Why couldn't they just,
I remember when I was a kid, they were in the center behind the license plate.
yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yes.
There were some that were in the fender, the hood,
Yep.
up front. But
There's a little
Part of
trick.
this is because you can't copy somebody else's design plan. The car companies sue each other all the time over these.
yeah, but that's not a design plan. The tank is on the left side, period.
Or
There's
it,
not
it
a
almost
lot-
doesn't matter where the tank is. You can put the filler nozzle anywhere. But there's a
yeah,
little trick a lot of people don't often realize is in the dashboard. Usually there's a little gas pump fuel icon, and there's an arrow on that fuel icon that tells you what side of the car your fuel filler is on, which is kind of handy.
It took me a while to realize that that was the case.
Yep.
When you had rental cars, it was like, oh, there's an arrow there.
And Charlie, to your point earlier about Toyota, they are selling the 2022 Mirai hydrogen fuel vehicle, starts at 49.5.
Okay, so they haven't stopped yet.
They haven't stopped yet. In fact, one of the nice things about the hydrogen fuel vehicles, and especially now even in the regular electric ones, is they look like real cars, and they you can do the regular styling. You know, they're not the old, you know, the clunky looking Prius that they were in the early days. So you almost can't tell it's an electric car because it looks like a normal car.
The
I
Well, we
thing-
shouldn't be prejudiced.
Yeah, I always liked the Chevy Volt that it had a small like two-cylinder engine in it to charge the batteries. So most of the time it ran only on battery, and then it used the gasoline engine to charge the batteries if it needed to. So it ended up giving a lot better mileage as well.
One of the questions I have about hydrogen fuel cell cars is like underground parking garages. Because if you go into one of those, you'll see signs that you can't go in if you have any propane in your vehicle, because it would be, you know, colorless, tasteless, odorless, yada yada, and if it leaked, the place could blow up. And I don't know where hydrogen would stand in that.
Well, gasoline is a horrible explosive risk, and we've just gotten used to it in the last 100 years.
Yeah, well, yes, but I mean, often if you actually have a fuel leak, at some point you'll notice it under your car or
Yeah.
whatever, you know. And whereas with a gas like propane or hydrogen, you could have it and not know it.
Yeah, well, I think they're adding odorants. What's the word I'm looking for?
It can smell like rotten eggs,
Yeah,
like the RG&E gas.
yeah.
Hydrogen sulfide gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a bunch of government studies on tunnel safety, because that's been a worry too about cars in tunnels. The other thing I've read is first responders needing to cut open a crashed car, and the difference isn't with electric cars is you don't want to cut through those batteries because that would be really bad. In fact, just watching a new season of BattleBots started, and in the opening episode, they had like 3 different battery fires with the giant saws cutting through the lithium batteries and giant robots on fire.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, is there any chance of an electric car having some weird thing go wrong and like shocking you like to death? I mean, not, you know, in an extreme situation.
Like lightning strikes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
partly you're protected because you're inside a hollow metal sphere, a Faraday cage.
With
So
rubber tires.
right, so you're grounded and protected inside. In fact, you see that a lot on TV shows when a car hits an electric pole and the live wires are dancing around outside the car. Stay in the car. It's your safest thing. Don't touch the outside of the car because you're safe inside the car. Wait for them to turn the power off.
That happened to me once well, I think I was a teenager. I was going somewhere with my uncle and my 2 cousins, and all of a sudden lightning struck this telephone pole and it fell right in front of us, and we were like, you know, watched all the dancing wires all around the car, just staying in the car. It was quite a thing.
Okay, well, this has been fun, but are we going to talk about computers at all tonight?
Sure.
Well, we have been. Cars are just computers with 4 wheels.
Okay, I would like to interrupt since we have an interruption here, and take care of a couple of quick business things. One is that, and Steve will probably announce this in outcoming emails and on the CIDER webpage, but 2 months from now at the March, whatever the heck it is, meeting, will be our annual business meeting, and including elections. And on that note, I would like to ask Rick if he will be my silent partner in the nominating committee.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. So then next week at the board meeting, we will make that official. And as long as I'm on this little tear here, if any members want to join the board, or nominate somebody else for the board. You could probably go through the CIDER homepage and the link to email board members, and let us know about that. That would be handy. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like we just had elections not that long ago, and here they are again.
Yeah. And
I think part of it is because we discuss it for like 3 months before we actually have the meeting, and then it's like, oh, okay.
yeah, and well, we're required to by the bylaws.
No, I know that, but it just seems like
Right.
we talk about it a lot more than, which we don't really, but
But
you know.
you're right.
But anyways,
One of those things where if you get a head start on it and keep going at it, by the time it actually comes around, you almost think it's over. You're right.
yes.
Say back to CES, I noticed several eyeglasses.
Yeah.
And a Google Glass of about 15 years ago. Somebody is actually coming up with an eyeglass where there will be a projection of the internet onto your glasses.
Oh my God.
They're going to try to go back to, was that 10 years ago when Google Glass
Probably
was
longer
around?
than that.
Was it? Yeah.
And being a glass hole.
The other the other one I see is tunable glasses, where you can the glasses will I don't know how they'll change, but when you want to read, they'll become readers, and when you want to look across the valley, they'll become distant.
That sounds neat. Well, that's what
that's sort of like that Tom Cruise movie that he did 10, 15 years ago, where he saw they would prevent a crime before it happened. And they had a part where they saw him wearing these special glasses, and as he walked down the street, advertisements and everything would come onto the glasses as he went past stores and all sorts of things like that.
Based on the Philip K. Dick story.
That's kind of where we're.
Well, what's
Google Glass kind of going?
What has actually been released is Facebook released a pair of camera glasses through Ray-Ban, and they look normal. The Google Glass you could tell was something weird, and a lot of people got in trouble for recording where they shouldn't have been, which is where the term glass hole sort of started from. But now with these Ray-Ban glasses, they look like real sunglasses, and there's no obvious camera markings. There's no Facebook logo on it anywhere, but it is being able to record into a storage device on the glasses, and then it will sync to your phone. Snapchat has camera glasses like that as well, but they're more cartoony and obviously looking like something strange to a little be wary about camera glasses. But a lot of people are concerned about these Facebook glasses.
Steve, can you share your screen with us since you're going to be like surfing the internet and showing some of these things off?
Sure. Let me bring that window on. And they're not that expensive. One of the big problems with the Google Glass is they were $1,500, but now for $299 you can get camera glasses, and they call it Ray-Ban Stories because it sends stories into Facebook. But there are very little Facebook branding on it anywhere to know that it is really a camera that's being able to record. Let me see if they have a better somewhere.
You're still not sharing your screen with us yet.
I thought I was. I can see it on my
Zoom.
No, but it's not coming out.
It's on YouTube. You got to go to YouTube. Share screen. So I got to do it on both sides. Share screen and Safari.
That's good.
Okay.
Got it.
All right.
All right, so let me go back to Ray-Ban's own website. So they just look like regular glasses, and you can't really tell there's anything different about them. So you can see the camera lens in the upper corner, but if you're not looking for that, you probably aren't going to notice it.
Wow.
And
So it could almost be like you've got a little iPad or a camera on your lens,
Yep.
where you can control the device on your iPhone, iWatch, as to when you want to start and stop recording, and you could just talk into it and just
Yeah.
turn your head what you want to do.
there's a keyword you can say that will trigger the recording, or you can tap a certain area on it.
I would say if you had a watch or the iPhone, that you could control it too. Would seem.
Possibly in the Facebook app. But yeah, $2.99, and it doesn't even look like the old Google Glass.
No.
Go back to the original Google Glass.
I wonder how you charge them.
So even the current Google Glass isn't as geeky as the original one was. So now Google sort of refocused on the enterprise and doing remote learning and teleoperator overlaying assembly instructions. So that during in this example they're building a vehicle, and so they can see the instructions overlaid on what to do next. The back on the Ray-Ban site there was a charging case, so you put it in the case to charge it, and then the case probably plugs in.
You can
Okay.
still see the cameras on either side, though.
Yeah, but you have to be noticing it. And I think the little dot above the camera is a recording light that the terms of service say you're not supposed to cover.
I think people are still going to kick you out of the restaurants.
Yep.
I mean, the same legal issues would apply if you're recording people without their consent, right?
Yeah, except when you're in public and there's no assumption of privacy. So walking down the street, you're probably picked up by dozens of cameras a day, which is already an issue.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't even understand that, you know?
Yep. Yeah, you see that on TV shows, red light cameras and ATM cameras and security cameras. On the deeper ones, they'll follow people walking, from place to place to place to place, unless it becomes a plot device and there's no cameras in that area, so we lost them at 5th and Main.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a great idea if you're chasing a bad guy, but it's a terrible idea when you're chasing an average person.
The good guy, yeah.
Well, they say that if you aren't doing anything bad, then what should you care?
Yeah, but just because I'm not doing anything bad when I'm sitting on the toilet doesn't mean I want you watching me.
Yeah. There's an assumption of privacy.
Or maybe I do.
In some situations. And
Well, tell them about that girl who got banned from school, who was doing a Zoom, or the boy, I guess it was, who was doing
Yes.
school via Zoom, and the teacher at school banned him because they saw that he had a BB gun in the background
Of his own room, that was only caught on camera for a brief moment while he was moving the computer. So the school suspended him for having a weapon in school.
Wow.
What state?
Let me see if I can find it again.
That's like ridiculous, I think.
Louisiana.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Actually, in the South, you'd expect to see guns in everyone's
That's
house.
more surprising.
Yeah. and he's 9. Oh, and it was on September 11th, so you got all this confluence of things.
It's a Harrison.
He muted, yeah, must be a relative of yours, Rick. Would they say he muted his volume so he could concentrate on taking the test? And a sibling who came in tripped on the BB gun, he then picked it up and moved it off screen. So they were appealing the school's decision, and the school doubled down and said no. But in their own home, I can see if you brought it to school or not, but having it in your own home in the background of a video is just ridiculous.
Well, it was a blackhead.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
So that was CNN. I wonder if I can find an article from
says-
the other side of the political aisle.
Steve, I want to interrupt for a moment of woo here.
Yeah?
While I was watching you scrolling around on your screen, an ad popped up at the top of it for books by an author that I'm reading on Libby. Now, how does this stuff work? Can we hope that that's just coincidence?
We can hope.
Oh, it targeted you there, Charlie.
Say what, Shirley?
It targeted you.
Yeah, but it's
What?
Steve who's online.
What was the author?
I think it's Robert. The last name is Dugoni or something like that.
Was it on CNN? Yeah.
What is Libby?
That's the library's book, electronic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, ebook ad for the library.
So what can happen is websites have all sorts of content trackers. In fact, I'm looking for one now. Well, most of the time they're hiding, but almost every website you go to will have a Facebook button, a LinkedIn button, a Pinterest button, so that you can share these stories with somebody else. And so that website knows you were at that. So that's that social net. So like Facebook knows I've gone to this site because somewhere on here is a Facebook like button. Excuse me. So the same thing happens with Charlie's devices. At some point, Charlie and I have been physically together. And Facebook knows that because now our IPs are either adjacent or the same IP, meaning you're in the same actually in the same building because you're on the same internet service. So now they have linked Charlie and I together, and will often then show ads. When one person searches for something, they'll show those same ads to somebody else that they know is linked to you, because you probably have similar tastes, because they already know that you're physically together.
Oh boy, I'm going to do more browsing incognito because
Well, that doesn't help any.
You getting ads for oh God. Later when we get to Q&A, I've got a little issue that might be amusing to people too, but well, we can wait.
But let's backing up half a second, incognito mode doesn't do anything. It doesn't do what you think it does. It's basically, we used to jokingly call it porn mode. It stops other people on your computer from seeing what websites you've gone to.
Right.
It doesn't. Right. It doesn't do anything to hide you from the internet or from other trackers or websites, and you have to be wary that you understand that and don't use that thinking you're being safer on the internet.
Right. So, can I just interrupt? You mind?
Yep.
So the question of a VPN comes up, but also, I think it might have been last meeting or sometime. You mentioned that Apple is doing something, and it may be in Monterey or something like that, where it routes your traffic through an Apple server, and then from there to the website you're going to.
Yeah, there's a couple of things Apple has done. In Safari, there's a little black and white shield icon. You can't see my cursor, but you can see the icon next to the address bar. And when you click on that, that tells you how many trackers Safari blocked. So I'm on Wired, and there were 51 trackers on this website. And if I really want to, I can see who they all are. Here's Amazon's ad network. DoubleClick is Google's ad network, and that's, there's Facebook. One of the ironies is that Google is the biggest search engine and also the biggest advertiser, so they know everything you search for already. And so Safari tries to block these trackers from profiling you from website to website to website. And in fact, they have a privacy report that keeps track of how many trackers it's blocked you from in the last 7 days, and that's available in Safari 15, I think it was. Yeah, so which is will run on I think Mojave or later, maybe Catalina or later. What they've added in Monterey, and I got to see if I can find it here, is it's a feature called Hide My IP. And let me go into New Share. And I am going to add, can I add? Yes, I can add the preferences. And so in your preferences under privacy, you have an option to hide your IP. So hide your IP address. The prevent cross-app tracking has been on for a while now, and that's how it tries to stop websites from tracking you across the internet. Sites like Facebook and Google from knowing you went to this page and this page and this page. The new feature is hide your IP address. So it sends your IP through one of Safari's or Apple's content networks. So in essence, it's a pseudo VPN. A lot of VPN companies tout to the fact that a VPN keeps you safe on the internet, when that's not quite true either. A VPN stops your internet provider from knowing where you go on the internet. The VPN service then knows everywhere you go on the internet because you're using them to get there. And then the sites you go to know it's you because they have to send the traffic back to you. VPNs were typically used for remote access to a business so that salespeople on the road can log into their company server and access all the company data as if they were in that company physically.
Quick question, Steve. Which settings are you in now on that screen?
Safari preferences.
Safari preferences.
Yep. And let me see if they added it to iCloud on the computer. Yes, they're doing it on the computer too. iCloud on the computer and iCloud on iOS. Jeez. Couldn't think there for a minute. Now I got to change this window too. Hang on just a second. I'm looking for system preferences. So that in iCloud settings, they've added a couple of more security features. Hide My Email is an interesting option where when you sign up for an email, when you go to a website and sign up for the service, you typically need to put in your email address and create a password. And that's how bad guys get your email address, because those companies sell it. And that's where spam comes from. Hide My Email address is interesting because Apple will generate a random email address and then link it themselves to your real email address. And so you can make a separate, new, completely different email address for every service you sign up for. And that can help you track who sells your information by what spam you start getting from what address. which is kind of neat. But then it also can help you keep your email address from becoming too public, which is probably already too late for most of us that have been on the internet for a long time already. And then the other option that is still in beta is the private relay, which is the more deeper VPN service, VPN-ish service that sends all of your iCloud and internet traffic through Apple's server before it gets to the website at the other end to help hide your geographic identity, your IP address from getting to the bad guys. And those were added in iOS 15 and Mac OS Monterey. And now let me go back to Safari. And back to this. And then we go to OBS and go back to Safari. Now Mozilla is starting something I hope the other websites will catch up on. I was complaining about cookies a little bit earlier. Every page you go to tells you they're using cookies, and that was from a GDPR, the European Privacy Law. Doesn't really help any because every website has cookies, and now every website is telling you they have cookies, and you have to hit OK, and you're annoyed that every time you go to a website it tells you it has cookies. Cookies themselves are generally innocuous. The problem is that the website that set the cookie can read the cookie again. And that wasn't a big problem until advertising companies got to be so big, Google and Facebook, that Google Ads sets a cookie on one website. They can follow you across every website you go to because Google has ads on every website you go to. So what Firefox has started doing is they've started making a sandbox for cookies. So when you go to a website, the website cookies live in a sandbox. And when you go to a different website, that website cookies lives in a different sandbox. And so they're stuck in the sandbox and can't talk to anybody else. And so that will completely restrict website tracking, but still allow cookies to work. Because a lot of people try to turn off their cookies and then suddenly find out that websites don't work anymore because you have to have cookies on for most websites to work. Or if you have a cookie blocker, the website yells at you to unblock your cookies. Like I use one called Ghostery, and I generally have it turned off, but that can also block cookies. What is more important now are the blocking trackers rather than actual cookies. And so if it's a tracking cookie, Safari's blocking that automatically now. So this CNN page had 47 trackers. And the other problem with trackers is it slows you down because it has to load all the data for every one of those trackers. And the irony is it seems like the trackers and the ads load first, and so you can't get to the content you were looking for because the ad has already sort of stalled the website.
Does the iPhone have a blocking system?
Yes, Safari built into iOS 15 does the same thing, and there are a couple of third-party content blockers available for iOS too.
One of the things that has bothered me about those cookie notifications that, like you said, started with the EU regulation, is that sometimes they allow you to make customized choices about how the cookies work. Other times they're just like, click OK kind of thing or something like that. And my fear is that if I just go along clicking OK, which is what I do, they will nefariously include some crap in there that I would not want to say OK to. but do it just to
Yep.
keep going.
Yeah, it's being called the tyranny of the default. That nobody wants to read all that crap. They just want to get to the website they were looking at. Fortunately, the hope is there is enough people reading all that crap to catch a website when they are doing something bad and will publicize it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so here's how to enable the content blockers in Safari on iOS. And so that you can install different content blockers. I have used Malwarebytes content blocker on the iPad because I trust Malwarebytes to be a legitimate company to do good things. And of course, everyone says they have the best content blocker.
It's the Malwarebytes protection.
No, for manual scanning is free. If you want the automatic scanning, then you do pay for it.
This might be an appropriate time for me to inject the topic I was going to bring up later under Q&A. And it's a peculiar thing. I don't know if anyone else has run across this. So the situation is on my MacBook Pro in the Chrome browser on weather.com. And I'll be looking at it, and there's a pop-up that comes up about McAfee antivirus stuff. And sometimes, originally when it was doing this, it would take up the whole screen, and the only thing you could click on was a box that said scan. Okay, which I did not.
Or if you can find the little tiny X, which you never can find.
Well, yeah, and I'm not even sure there is one there. But I mean, sometimes I've been able to get out of it by just back arrowing to weather.com. But and more recently, what pops up instead of the scan thing is what looks like, I guess, what might be called a dashboard. It looks like what you would see if you, in fact, did have McAfee antivirus, which I do not. And when it does that, the URL changes to windows-protector.com.
You have a malicious Chrome extension installed, most likely.
Well, I looked at my Chrome extensions in the Chrome settings.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I did find somewhere in there a list of about 4 things that Chrome had blocked, and one of them was the windows-protector.com. But I then went into settings and blocked every possible different feature, which, the ones that had not been automatically blocked, and the ones I blocked, I think, had absolutely nothing to do with this happening. I Googled windows-protector.com. Mm-hmm. And what came up besides their site or something like that was, in fact, a McAfee site that talked about the problem and gave you some ideas about how to deal with it, which included checking for unwanted Chrome extensions. The thing I find interesting about this is, and also at another point, I searched my hard drive for windows-protector.com just out of my ignorance or whatever, and I did not find that. But what's interesting about it is, geez, don't lose the train of thought now, Charlie. I have both Sophos and Malwarebytes paid versions on my laptop. And when I asked those to scan, neither one of them came up with that.
Okay. There may be a search hijacker then, where your home page or your search page is set to some malicious site. So there's nothing technically installed that's malicious, but every time you open a window or every time you do a search, it goes to a malicious page to do something nefarious or crappy.
Okay. So
Um,
in other words, if I were to go back into Chrome settings and look for the um, settings for the home page for that
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. The start page. What is it called in Chrome? The new tab page. Yeah. So you can have a start page, which is the page that opens when you start Chrome. And then you can have a new tab page, which opens when you make a new tab. And then you also have a search engine setting that can be set to a malicious search engine. Now, there's a sneaky search engine called default. So when you look at your search engine list and it says default, you think it's okay. Because it's the default search engine, right? No, it's the malicious search engine called default. In fact, there's an Apple script that we run all the time at the store. Let me see if I can remember the name of it. Chrome. Yeah. Reset all settings. Because one of the other things some of the extensions do is they block you from making changes. And there's a management console ability for like companies and schools to manage your computer, and they will put in a fake management script to force your computer to keep doing these things even after you clean them out. And I'm not going to find the program. There was a little program, because sometimes you can't get into the Chrome settings to reset all the settings, which would then change the search hijacker, change the homepage hijacker. So there was a little Apple script I found that had been written to go in and change the settings files rather than trying to change it inside of Chrome itself.
How do you get to that?
I'm trying to find where it is, a link to it. It's on my computer at work.
Yeah. Well, it may be beyond the capability of what I'm going to do, or can do, or actually I'm going to do. This thing seems to have quieted down. I can get out of it if it happens, and I may poke around further to see what to do about it. It's now a question of effort versus necessity.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's interesting because I like I said, I did not click on any of those things when it popped up, but an article I looked at had two possible reasons for it. One of which would be to take you to a spurious fake McAfee page and try to get your personal information.
And because McAfee is a big enough name, they'll try to trick you into paying for something that you don't need.
Right, or just get your information to sign up for a quote free account. But the other suggestion was interesting, and that was that it might actually be a marketing ploy. In which case it would be like involving McAfee to pay somebody to do this to you to drum up more business for McAfee. I that was the less likely alternative. Especially in view of the fact that McAfee's official sites were being totally upfront about it, and how to get rid of it, acknowledging that it was a problem, how to get rid of it.
Yeah. That's the problem with a lot of the malicious or crap software, is that they pay referral fees, and so you can, like, MacKeeper is one of the biggest, most well-known violators of this. And every time a new owner comes along and buys the company, they say that they're going to cut down on the amount of junk and spam they're doing. But they'll pay referral fees for everyone who loads a MacKeeper ad on a website. And so people have basically written bots to go out and put ads in ad networks. And I've gone to websites that have 6 different ads for MacKeeper, probably all from different advertisers, to get the referral fees. And so they get a bad reputation by doing that. And so it's possible that someone was doing the same thing with an actual McAfee program. There's kind of an interesting thing in the PC world is that a lot of new PCs will come with like a 3-month or 3-week trial subscription to McAfee or Norton, and then at the end of that time, or even before the end of that time, they start popping up windows to say you better pay for this, and people do because they don't know otherwise, and that's what came with their computer, so it must be okay, and it sometimes isn't. But then we heard last week, we had a story on Soundbites, that Norton 360 installs a crypto miner on your computer, and in your idle time will mine for cryptocurrency on your computer, and takes a 15% cut of anything it earns. And if people wanted to have a crypto miner, they do it themselves and keep 100% of the money. But what right does Norton have to install a crypto miner on your computer, using resources, slowing you down? So it's sort of exploded all over the internet. Still haven't seen a response from Norton yet.
They should be sued for it big time.
They probably will be.
Gee.
Should be. It reminds me of when Wells Fargo was giving car buyers car insurance they did not need or ask for.
Yep.
And then they were getting their cars repossessed because they had chosen not to pay for this.
Yep.
Who owns
Well-
Norton now?
Symantec. And then Symantec has been buying a lot of AV companies. They bought Avast, they bought AVG. So Norton LifeLock is now the real name of the company when Symantec bought LifeLock. And that's kind of its own joke. The LifeLock president keeps going, or not president, CEO goes on the air with a big sign with his social security number on it. Go ahead and hack me. Here's my social security number, to tout how great their service is and you should pay for LifeLock service. He's had his identity stolen hundreds of times. Every time he runs one of the commercials. They don't tell you that part in the commercial. Theoretically, the company helps you regain your identity after it's been stolen, but it's a horrible mess to get into and to try to get yourself out of.
Well, on this subject, you mentioned Avast. This is a couple of years ago now. Avast bought some company that marketed people's information.
Yeah.
Merged its database with their own so that anybody using the Avast antivirus stuff could have their information sold off by the subsidiary.
Yep. Yeah, in late 2019. So Motherboard and PC Magazine discovered it in 2020. So yeah, it's hard to blame them because it's a free software, and most people, the average users, were using the free version, and the idea was that companies would use the pay version. But apparently there weren't enough people doing that, and so Avast is trying to make money to keep their company afloat. So they have to make money somehow. So they started selling data based on their users. And the internet exploded and went nuts.
Rightly so.
Yeah. Don't do that. I think it was Avast bought AVG, or AVG bought Avast, and then Symantec bought them both. Yeah, AVG is from the Czech Republic. No, Avast is Czech Republic. Yeah, Avast bought AVG. Oh, they were both from the Czech Republic. Okay, maybe that's why it was easy to buy each other.
Okay, do you want to take a quick break before we start? And our topic was what gadgets you got for Christmas, and talk about that, or
Well, we can do some Q and A.
Q&A?
Yeah, we can do some Q&A while people get their gadget lists together. All right. So we meet back in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I need a break.
Yeah. I gotta empty my or fill my red cup and empty what used to be in the red cup.
Input, output.
Yeah. You always remember to get a receipt because it's very important that the amount you eat matches the amount you excrete. And if anyone can remember the name of that planet, that's pretty good.
Patriots take the lead.
Over who?
Say what?
Against who? Who are they playing?
New England. I'm not
Yeah.
up to the current. I don't know what's happening now. I turned it on. I'm seeing about 15 minutes ago.
But who are they playing?
New England. Patriots.
You said the Patriots take the lead, and I said, who are they playing? And you said New England. But
No.
New England is the Patriots.
Bills are playing.
Oh, the Bills. Oh, okay. Really? They are?
Yeah.
I thought they played yesterday or something.
Isn't today?
Maybe.
No, today's Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Oh. I don't know what day it is.
When you're retired, you don't know these things.
No.
Game's on.
The Bills play Saturday in the playoffs. This is an old game.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday. I meant Sunday.
I'm a soccer fan.
Yesterday.
Well, what happened
Play the
today
Patriots.
was Ronnie Spector passed away. And from the Ronettes.
Yes, I watched that game on Sunday. Yeah, I can't remember anything. My brain is so fried.
Hey, Leslie,
No, what?
what's up with this guy Djokovic or whatever it is?
I have no idea. See, because I don't have the actual tennis channel, so I don't get to hear all the all the talk and everything. I only have the Tennis Channel Plus, so I only get to watch the court coverage. So I only hear things like a little bit in the background. I don't know. It sounds like he's being a jerk like always. Like I only read what I could read online. And it's hard to follow, like COVID. So the Australian Open said he could play, but then the government, he wasn't following the government rules to get in the country, so the government wouldn't let him in the country. The state government, the Melbourne rules he was following, but not the state government or something, or So then he like opposed it, and other tennis players left, but he's still there opposing it. And I get because he had COVID in December, so I wasn't sure if his um the what do you call it, his free pass, whatever, exemption, if that was because he had it in December, so he would still test positive, so they're giving an exemption, or if because he was positive in December, he couldn't get the vaccine. I wasn't sure if it was because of a vaccine or a test. I don't know. But he always does something wrong, like hitting the umpire, with the ball and getting kicked out of the U.S. Open a couple of years ago. He always manages to do something dumb and get himself in trouble.
So being a bad boy is part of his shtick.
He just, I don't know. It's like he kind of has, I don't know if you call it I don't know, anger or like these issues, and he does stuff and then thinks he shouldn't have to pay for him because he's the best player in the world.
I think
he should.
the technical word is arrogance.
Yes, arrogance. Yes. I'm number one, so you should let me play. Well, no, other people are following the rules, so you should too. Yes, exactly. Arrogance. He's not my favorite player because, my issues with him go way back to when he was really young. And they used to have a thing on Tennis Channel called Center Court. Now they have Center Court, which is where they show tennis matches everywhere. But it used to be an interview show. And we're going back like decades, like when he was first starting. He did an interview, but he was against equal prize money. This is before they had equal prize money. And, that made me dislike him right then, that he was against equal prize money for women. And so I kind of held that against him forever because he's not the ambassador that Federer and Nadal are. He's not the nice, humble, good for all person. He has his issues, but because he's rich and famous and number one, I think he puts on a persona to try, because he used to, he made fun of arguments with the US Open crowd and made fun of other players and everything. And as he became more famous, he had to back away from all that stuff and his distance himself from it. But those of us who've been around a while still remember all the things he used to do. So it doesn't surprise me. It's just one more thing.
Oh, thank you very much.
But Nadal played last week at a warm-up tournament. That was nice to see him back.
Who was that?
Rafa Nadal. He was back last week. I don't know what's up with Roger or Federer because, like I said, I don't have all the tennis channel to hear all the talk, so I haven't happened to hear any commentators talk about him yet, so I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's still injured, or I guess I could Google it, but I just haven't.
Yeah, today is Hal's birthday.
Whose birthday?
Hal. The Hal 9000.
Oh.
He turns 30 today. That was such a futuristic book that he expected 30 years ago we'd be flying spaceships to Saturn.
Yeah, all those futuristic things are were never there.
Does that mean that the movie 2001, because that was 2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
Yep.
Does that mean that movie's only 30 years old?
The movie came out in 68.
Okay.
But in 68, he wrote that Hal became operational in 92.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're gonna set a good futuristic movie, you really need to do it far enough in the future so that people now won't be alive then. You got to set it at least 2200. So
There's a really, yeah. All right, I'm gonna post this in the Zoom chat. There's a address, futuristic movie timeline. So Blade Runner takes place in 2019. Soylent Green takes place in 2022. And so all of
Okay,
these
everybody.
things, A Clockwork Orange takes place in 1995. So all of these futuristic movies that are taking place in the past. 12 Monkeys is 2028. Demolition Man is 2032. So it's crazy what they expected the future to be. And why aren't we there yet?
Where are the flying cars?
They're called helicopters and they're too loud.
You
But
can't park it in your garage.
there
Oh,
are
here's the-
there are companies working on basically human capable quadcopters, and that will be your flying taxi to pick you up and fly you somewhere.
That would be nice. You could get there fast.
They're probably
So
showing
they
them off
won't-
at CES too.
They won't fall down into briefcases.
No. Oh, Toyota's is working on one.
You know, when you were talking about the movies or the future, you should have said, when were those movies made?
Yeah.
That they thought the future was so far away in 20 years or whatever, 30 years.
Yeah, that would have been interesting if that website tracked when they were made versus when they took place. That's kind of what the dark arrow to the left is, how long before it actually came out. So from 68 to 2001. Yeah, so RoboCop wasn't very far off in what they thought the future would be. Yeah, Planet of the Apes, Barbarella, Dune. They all take place, tens of thousands of years from now.
Well, the Wheel of Time is supposed to be tens of thousands of years in the future and also tens of thousand years in the past.
Yeah.
It's both future and past.
Have you watched that?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's okay.
Did you read the books?
No.
Because it's interesting from what I read, people who've read the books and then saw the series, how much the TV shows generally leave out, because they have to, because the books are in so much more detail. But when they're doing a TV series versus a movie, in fact, I saw a cute meme where Netflix says, "Hey, how about we do a 10-hour movie?" And people go, "Ew, no, that's horrible." So Netflix says, "Hey, how about we do 10 one-hour episodes and you can binge watch them?" And people go, "Hey, that sounds good. Let's do it."
Well, they had Foundation, which is another one of the,
Yeah,
couple books.
10, 12 episodes.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
That's coming out, a prequel or some kind of thing with Lord of the Rings is coming out.
A new
this
TV
year.
series. I think that one's on Amazon. Amazon is paying a crap load of money for a lot of different services. Yeah, Amazon's doing Lord of the Rings.
My precious. Well, you have The Witcher, which is Netflix, on old Tales of the Forest.
Somebody posted a meme about there's the phrase "who cleans up good," and so they're saying, with Henry Cavill, who grunges up great, grunges down and looks better.
I watched the first episode. It was pretty good. There's a lot of things as apparently come off from this. Anime and all sorts of things have popped off of this based on books.
So based on a book series, From 1986 in
Yep.
Poland.
Yep. Polish medieval tales, which is where all the Grimm brothers and all those got a lot of our fairy tales and stuff. Disney.
So here for your pronunciation ability, this is how how you pronounce it. Really?
Yeah, they're supposed to help.
Yeah.
Only if you speak Polish.
No,
All right,
that's the
well,
IPA translation.
Wiedźmin.
Carol
Yeah.
is Polish.
Wiedźmin.
We were listening to Weeze this last week, and she realized that even though her name doesn't end in ski, she's not a Novitsky or anything like that. She's a Noski because she doesn't have ski in her name. Part of the Noski tribe.
all right. Well, why don't we go back to our meeting? And Steve, you can talk about what people can talk about what gadgets they got for Christmas.
Well,
if
do you
they
want to
got
do
any.
Q&A first?
No, let's just do the gadgets because I think Q&A will run longer.
All right.
And the gadgets, you know, I'll start off and say I got an iPhone 11 for Christmas in purple.
And you're showing a picture of the table. Switch.
Well, all I see is your apple cider thing.
Switch your camera back to the front camera.
Oh, where is it? Where's the camera icon?
I don't have
Oh,
my
there it
iPad
is.
open. There you go.
Oh, see, I can't see because all I see is your apple cider user group thing is up on the screen. So yeah, I got a
Oh,
nice one with my
congratulations.
my little Tinkerbell, which I have to say, compared to the other one, this is heavy. But it's actually a good size for carrying around because I can grip it well, whereas the old one I had was smaller, even though I had a case on it. It was very slippery, kind of like, you know, the metal. And I find the same thing was like our Apple TV, the little remote is so slippery in my hand that my fingers are always slipping all over the surface of it to jump around and make it do anything. It's like, I don't know, like it needs some Velcro or something to put your finger on that you can grip it. But so I'm still learning my phone a little bit. I mean, it's still pretty much the same, other than it can do more stuff, which I'll have to learn. But that's what Steve is for.
Your
lucky
system
to know.
administrator.
Yes. So
Go ahead.
that was my gadget.
Does,
It's a nice gadget. Hey.
does that gripability thing have to do with the rounded edges versus the square or straight edges or whatever type thing? Know what I mean?
Well, this has got like a plastic case on it,
Oh,
right?
okay. Right.
So my fingers can grip it really well because it's got like a non-skid kind of feel to it on the sides, so that I feel safe that it's not going to fall out of my hand unless I knock it on something, you know, whereas the other phone was just so sleek, it's like my finger slid right over it, you know. So I was always like, that's why I put it in a case, because I was afraid I was just going to drop it because it was just sliding so much in my hand, you know.
That a little while back there was a change from I don't know how to describe it, but more rounded edges on things like iPhones and iPads to it, or at least on the iPhone, to a sort of a blockier or square edge on it. And I think it had to do with that design guy with Johnny somebody or other.
Johnny Ive.
And he finally left Apple, and suddenly Apple didn't have to make every succeeding computer thinner and lighter, and they could put features in that actual users wanted because Johnny wouldn't tell them not to. You know, right? They could make them thicker.
Yeah.
And it just amazed me that guy had that much clout at Apple to actually affect the functionality of their product line.
Well, my old phone was the 7, so I wanted to update and come a little bit more closer to the future. And I like the purple color, even though to me, this purple is like a pale lilac color than the purple that I really thought it would be. Carol, so I was thinking of you, but it was just, you know, it's not a purpley purple color. It's lilac, pale lilac at that. But so anybody else out there have any gadgets they got for Christmas that they want to just talk about or
I
show?
think he's getting it.
I've got one.
Oh,
It's
there
right
he is.
Here, we'll do the unboxing.
Oh,
So this is a thing that's called the Orba, and it's by Artifon, and it's a musical instrument. And that's the box, and you just pull it out. And the idea is that this is something that you can use when you're, out and about on your little travels, and you just want to get it out and play some music. And you can turn it on right here. There's a button for power, and you can kind of watch it light up, maybe.
Yeah, your background is causing problems with it.
Lost in your background. There
Yeah, I see that. Okay.
You gotta
There
hold
you
it.
are.
Yeah, hold it in front of you.
better.
Yeah. Right. So now, let's see. I think I can adjust the volume on it.
You blow into it.
No, you hit it like it's a drum. Let's see.
hold it up higher.
So it's a mini drum.
No, it plays other stuff too.
And then you can choose other.
Oh, so you push a
things on
button
it.
for whatever sounds you want it to make.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make a song out of this, Rick?
And you can play loops with it. It also works with Logic Pro and with GarageBand. So I'm just starting to scratch the surface of the thing and have some
Literally.
fun with it. Yeah.
Good
Well,
one.
you'll have to make a little ditty and play it for us at some future time. Like the picnic.
Yeah, he can be the entertainment.
That's right, Rick. You can be our
Yeah.
entertainment and
It's just
One
played
man
it
band.
back.
songs.
Can you turn it into a steel drum?
Sure. Any of the instruments that are in Logic Pro or GarageBand, this can play it. So
Oh,
that would be yes.
Can you change the octave? Like, do you,
Yeah, there's actually an octave key on here too. So, and you can set what the range is.
so like,
Let's
can
see,
you
they-
play like you're playing one octave and then hit a like to continuously play? Can you just like hit a button and then it automatically goes up or down an octave and like so you can keep playing?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. There's a button here that actually says octave on it. Right there.
No, but I believe you.
All right. And the other thing is,
Right.
you can set it up so that you never ever play out of key.
wow.
So it doesn't matter what you hit, it'll always be right on key.
Nice.
Well, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
those
for the
beginners
musicians
would
that
think,
really don't know
wow,
what
look
they're
how good
doing."
I am. All right, anybody else out there got anything cute for Christmas, gadget-wise?
Well, I'm wearing one of my gadgets that was actually given to me by Rick. A new headset. In fact, I lose my microphone in the door light. So hopefully my audio is a lot better than it has been in the past with the ambient mic. That's one of the biggest things you can do to make your Zoom meetings sound better is get a better mic. Don't use the ambient mic in your computer, even though that's usually okay. It's often very echoey, especially if you have the speakers playing. So your speaker and your microphone are always fighting each other. The microphone picks up what the speaker plays, and then it creates a feedback loop, and so that's why oftentimes you'll hear the squealing. So even if you don't have a mic, if you use headphones, you get better audio into the video chat because it's not doing that feedback. And if you have a microphone closer to your mouth, that works a lot better too. And you don't have to spend a fortune on mics. A decent mic isn't that expensive. Although at the radio station we have $1,000 mics because we're a radio station.
Oh my. Wow.
Oh, and you can always go for the AirPod Max headset, which is what $550.
Thanks.
But they're over the ear headsets, so it cancels it blocks outside noise by covering your ears, so you don't don't hear a lot of the outside noise. And it's having a real interesting time with the background removal. I can see the sides of it are just flickering as it's trying to. Oh, it's now my hand is too. Trying to remove the background.
I'm glad you like those, Steve. They
Yeah.
seem to be working well.
Thank you.
I ended up getting one of the
How's this one?
HomePod minis, and I haven't been able to sync it yet with my iPhone. So I've called in once, and I'll to support, and I'll call again.
Oh,
On
I
what
just
mini?
remembered. Bob, we got that weather station that
Oh, yeah.
you're,
We haven't set it up yet.
yeah. Is it handy? It looks like a little iPad and it gives you the time and the temperature both inside and outside.
Well, that's good, especially this time of year. We always want to know what it's out like outside.
Exactly.
So an internet savvy device, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
So does it give you a little forecast
I
of
think so.
what's coming?
There's some weather system that it hooks into.
Well, they're underground probably.
Yeah, we still got to set it up, but
We're hippies.
It's very good, Roger.
Yeah, I got the HomePod Mini, and how do you get it to sync with your Apple TV? Is the controller on your phone under Home?
Basically, yes. You set up. I gotta find it. HomePod Mini. You on the Apple TV. Well, two ways. On the Apple TV, you tell it to add a Bluetooth device, and then on the HomePod, you put it into pairing mode, and so that it can pair it as a device. I don't remember offhand how to get into pairing mode, but I can post a link in the Zoom chat on how to do that. And if you have two HomePods or HomePod Minis, then you can set up a stereo pair.
Well, so far I only got one, so I finally got it to play music by asking it to play music. Then it lost the internet, so I had to shut it down and reboot it, and then it finally found itself again.
Looks
But,
like it has a bit of amnesia.
Yeah. So it's interesting that, it's getting into the Apple Music, there's so much there. How do you get what you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the HomePod is really geared toward Apple services. And so if trying to play like Amazon Music on the HomePod or Spotify Music is a little bit tricky, it's usually easier to use your phone and then AirPlay it to the HomePod so that it will send music from your phone to the HomePod that way from any audio source.
Well, I don't have. That's the first music I've had other than what's been on the phone itself. So it's starting to get better at it.
A lot of
I
it
do
is
like
you just have to monkey around with them.
Yeah, I do like the sound from it, though. It is nice sound from it.
Yeah, it's amazing how good the sound is from such a small little box. And the irony is, if anyone remembers the iPod Hi-Fi from years ago, where Steve Jobs touting he got rid of all his stereos because the iPod Hi-Fi was so good. I've got one over there somewhere. And it wasn't really that good. There wasn't much bass to it. A lot depends on what kind of music you listen to also. Especially the smaller speakers don't have that much bass. So if you like rap music, you may not get a lot of bass out of it. But then the HomePod came out, and it was really impressive audio with the 7 speaker array built into it, and the auto tuning, where it would bounce basically bounce audio off your walls and figure out where it was in the room to give you the best positioning of the audio. But at $350, it was too expensive. When most people are buying the Google speaker or the Amazon speaker for $100 or less. So the HomePod Mini at $99 is kind of a amazing little box for the amount of audio it gives out for such a small box that it has.
You know, I had it playing in there. I could fill almost the whole house with it
Yep.
until you got in the room too many walls. But
I put a link in the chat section for the weather station that I showed you. The second link shows directly to the weather station itself.
Well, that's kind of neat. Nice big letters. Or numbers, actually.
Yeah, there's indoor, outdoor, forecast, and a time thing, time date.
Nice. Just the stuff that you would want, you know?
Yeah, and it plugs in, so this is all, you know, from a wall outlet that lights this up, and then there's the battery, or not the battery, but the outdoor sensor, which is, this hangs outdoors somewhere. I'll hang it right outside, about maybe 30 feet from where the thing is, and communicates back and forth, tell me outside weather. So it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a gift.
Looks like a remote control.
Nice.
I need another one.
How do you shield the outdoor sensor from sunshine?
I put it in the shade.
You put it in a place that's always in the shade.
Put it on a north-facing wall. Is the way it's recommended, and that's just what I got here. You know,
So during the summer, when the sun gets north of
doesn't
the
matter. It's
west?
got to be in the shade regardless. It'll be in an alcove.
Okay,
So
because I have an outdoor sensor, but it's on I can't attach anything to the apartment building, so it's in a bucket.
well, this can be hung on a string. You know, there's a little hole there, but it doesn't have to be screwed to the wall. It can be just hang there.
Yeah, right. Anyway, but you want a certain amount of airflow around it too. But
I don't think so. I don't think it needs airflow. It's just whatever the ambient temperature is there, that's what it'll tell me.
all right.
You know, I wouldn't want airflow to cool it down or anything like that. Whatever it is there in that shade, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, but airflow shouldn't cool it any lower than the temperature of the air that's flowing around it.
Right.
Well, for better or for worse, it's just going to hang there.
Good.
And it'll hang there this week?
Promise is promise. Of course, I'm going to put it up tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, Bob. Thank you.
You'll see. We'll see. By the
Yes.
board meeting, we'll have to see.
Yes.
Did he finish it?
It'll be till next month anyway. Can't check up on me in a week.
Well, the weather is finally cold enough that you really do want to kind of keep an eye on. Is it going to snow? Is it going to be icy? Is it going to be 8 below? Yeah.
This is my
You
other
know?
gift, Christmas gift.
Glasses?
Yeah. Right, Carol?
Definitely. We had a little adventure with his glasses. This is way off the track from the
Went to
meeting.
a strong hospital to get my 3 months. Every 3 months, I get a shot, and I lost them somewhere in the cancer center. And
Oh no.
went
So
back.
this is the glass holder thing then, to keep them around your neck?
It's the lanyard and the glasses.
Can you hang a Find My tag on the? Can you hand a Find My tag on the back of the lanyard?
But
No.
somebody
Yeah.
somebody actually found them and called him yesterday So he got them back. We were so happy.
Oh yeah.
I went
Yeah, I
in
think
each of the places I had been that possibly I looked and I couldn't find them. I left a separate note in each of those 3 places. My name, phone number, da da da. And they called me and I got them back.
Good.
well,
All right.
And they
you
weren't
need to-
broken or anything. So we were very relieved.
Yeah.
you'll have to be like a kindergartner, you know, where you have to attach something to your thing
Like-
so that
Like
But this
mittens.
is,
I know.
so hopefully that'll keep you from misplacing them, because if you just
Yeah.
take them off, they'll hang around your neck.
Man, glasses are a major investment these days. I mean,
Definitely,
wow.
You put them on top. So everyone who wears glasses knows, where's my glasses? Where's my, oh, there they are.
Yep. He's done that
I-
before.
But I don't want to do this because it reflects too badly in the lenses.
well, I went to the library and I was waiting for her to get a book and I looked at their dictionary that was all open. And I looked at the first item and I couldn't read the fucker. I mean, it was all so little, you know. And I said to the librarian, you should have a magnifying glass attached to the podium right next to that thing so people can look at it. She said, well, maybe you could use your glasses. And she points to these on my chest.
Great.
Oh, these are for looking far away. They don't help me.
Half a
Well, that
century
just
ago.
means we're in that age group where the magnifying glass is, you know.
I think that's a
helps.
great idea. I like the idea of having a magnifying glass around for reading
I
things.
know.
They need them in a supermarket too, you know, to read the
Definitely the
little
super-
fine
yep.
print on the labels.
Yep.
Half a
Definitely the
century ago.
supermarket.
Half a
Yeah.
Especially
Sen-
medicine bottles. You can't read the tiny little print on medicine bottles.
You can use your iPad as a magnifier. You just turn on the camera
Or
and
iPhone.
then zoom on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never think to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
now
well,
you
They
know.
usually have it out too.
So what's half a century ago, Charlie?
The Oxford English Dictionary published a 2-volume set, you know, thick volumes like so, that came in a box setup with a little drawer with a magnifying glass in it, because if you stuff the OED into 2 volumes like that, it was small.
Wow.
Well, our big huge TV broke, right? So Steve had an alternative. So he had like one of the little ones from his office. So he put that up and I'm like, I can't see the TV and read the captions. It was so small.
Yeah.
From the big TV to the little one, right? And then we found another one that was a little slightly bigger, but it was still like, I'm like, I can't see this. It's like, and I'm thinking, boy, how terrible this is. It's like, let's get a big one so you don't have to stare and everything's magnified, you know, which is, I guess when you're older, you want the big screen ones just because there's more, everything's large, you know, versus a
Right.
small one, you know. I mean, of course you read on your iPad or on your phone, it's like you can enlarge it, but it's still like, you know, what happened to those eyes? It's like another thing of, oh my God, you know?
Yeah, the joys of aging.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Thank-
is. Yes, it is. So,
Thank
all right. So we should go on. And is there any Q&A that anybody wants to talk about?
Well,
I
I've
just-
got
No,
one
or is
more
anybody
item
else
that
got
I
any more
got.
gadgets?
Get more gadgets.
Yeah, more gadgets.
What do you got, Rick?
You
What
see
is
that?
that?
Nope.
No, what is it?
Yes, but what is it?
Okay, a few years ago, I showed you what a Raspberry Pi computer was. Well,
Right.
that's a banana Pi,
A
which is
banana
more-
pie.
which is a more powerful computer.
Rick,
And
I have pinned you, so you're taking up the whole screen now. Can you hold it up again?
yeah, this was just the box it came in.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Up a little higher.
There's not much more to it.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's better,
Oh.
even though you're fading,
You have to
it's
keep
fading
it-
in and out.
Yeah,
You
it
can
looks
keep it
kind of like
close
a
to you.
pond with grass around it.
Yeah. There you
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So this is, I ended up making a Lego box for it because you want to like keep your fingers away from it. So I found my old Legos, and that's the
Oh.
case.
And he built a
Oh.
case for it. I think that's so cool to use Legos for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
It is, and you
yes.
can see it.
Wow.
So that's what I will be working on for the next few weeks.
Making more of the Legos or working on the banana pie?
No, I'll be working on the banana Pie. I have to
Yeah.
install
Okay.
the operating system and
But these
Put a
were
bunch
his
of apps
Legos
on it.
from childhood. These were his old Legos. He didn't buy
Yeah.
new ones
good
for
way.
this.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Carol, you need to make a banana pie when he's
Yeah,
done.
to make one when you're done.
When I'm done and it works.
A strange
Is
name
that-
for
Banana cream pie.
Yeah.
Is that from the same company that makes the Raspberry Pi?
No, it's
Well,
their
It's
competition.
a competition. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
They make any other kind of pies too? Don't they have apple pie?
There's an orange pie.
Oh. I'm surprised that they had raspberry pie and banana pie, but they don't have apple pie, which we think would be the most.
Well,
'Cause
that's
they'd probably
because of
get
Apple
sued.
Computer, and they don't want to get
Probably get
sued.
Oh,
That's
that's
right.
true.
Yeah.
But Apple should have an apple pie, right?
Yeah, well, they don't want to.
I know. It could just be another runoff from them, you know, you never know.
I'm gonna.
Well, okay, anybody else got anything to show and tell?
Yeah,
Or are
let
we
me. Well, Rick
ready
showed
to
his
hop
Legos.
into
Look at this.
Q&A?
And I
I'm
can't.
getting, oh, Steve's doing something. I didn't get any
Steve's gotta
tech
get some-
things, but I got a new case for my iPad. There it is.
Oh, let's see.
Fancy.
Hold it up higher.
Oh, that's
Oh, it'll
fancy.
disappear if I hold it up higher. Let's see.
Okay, a little close. Okay, you can't get, okay, it's
There we go.
blue, flowers.
Carol.
It's flowers. It's jumbo
Carol.
print.
Okay,
Yeah.
very pretty. I was looking for a new cover for my iPad too. Mine is starting to rip out.
Yeah, they wear out after a while.
Yeah, it just started. It got enough wear and tear, but you know, they don't have as many to pick from, it seems like, anymore. I went on to go and look for one, and it was like a lot of them were very expensive, you know, to get just a cover and then to find one that you like on top of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to cost an arm and a leg, you know, because
Yeah,
they had a lot
I
of stuff.
like the pattern on this one because I figured she'd be able to spot it better than she could her other one. Her other one
Oh,
was
yeah.
camouflaged. And
was
half the
black and
time
white.
you'd look right at
Yeah.
it and you wouldn't even see it.
Yeah, you want to be able to let your eye go to it when you see it, you know. But
I don't know. Can you
Yeah.
see my camera? I have a second instance.
I see some flickering on the left.
I can't see anything of yours right now.
Oh, shoot. I've got the wrong camera pinned. I got my Lego,
Oh, his
Uh,
Lego space station.
my Lego space station. I gotta go pin I gotta pin the right camera.
Yes, Matthew gave him a Lego space station.
Oh,
And
what
it
a
comes with a
perfect gift for
stand.
him. Oh my gosh.
So he finally finished it. And then last year, I think it was last year or the year before, I gave him the space shuttle, me and Matthew. And that one was like huge. And then he kind of took it apart to put it back in the box. I was like, you spent hours making it. It was very elaborate, I have to say. And he did get the
He
Hess
never
truck.
gave me the space shuttle. I still need the space shuttle.
Oh, not the space shuttle, the rocket. Yes.
There's space. So this comes with.
Moonland.
Get out of here. It comes
Wow,
with a
look at
little tiny space shuttle.
Oh my
Very cute.
goodness.
The
That's
scale.
nice.
But the people on it are not. Here we go. The people on it are not to scale.
It'd be very
But
tiny.
all the little fiddly bits and where is it? Get down there. The cupolas under there.
Wow.
So you kind of, I guess, learn about the space station as you're making it, all the little things they
Yeah,
put
it's
into
really
it as
cool.
details,
Very nice.
kind of thing. But he did it pretty quickly. I'm like,
And,
you know,
Yeah.
my Legos are Harry Potter ones, so you know, you still want to keep working at it. So you do make them fairly quickly, but it's, you know, half the fun is just figuring it all out as to what goes where, kind of. And then, of course, there's the big issue: where do you put it when you're all done?
Orbit.
You got to find a spot to put it. It's like, you know, you
put it-
start
you
making
put it
it,
in
make a
orbit.
bigger one, and it's like, yeah,
That's what we need.
he could hang it from the ceiling, actually,
That was
even though it has a stand on it.
Yeah, that's it. I like that idea.
fly around.
You know, and get a like space poster of like the Hubble telescope, you know, with all the star fields, so you could kind of have it the background for it in a star field or something like that.
Yeah.
I have a sort of trivia question about space stuff. Back when they were using the shuttles, when they opened the cargo bay and went out and worked on something like, let's say, the Hubble telescope, how were the astronauts tethered so that they didn't drift off into space?
They had big long ropes that they.
So yeah, sometimes there actually
down
was
to
a
the side.
tether. Sometimes they were. There's a stand on the end of the Canada arm that they can lock themselves into.
It sounds
okay.
like this.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
lanyard.
was that?
they have a giant lanyard holding them there.
Oh, I see.
Bungee
Wasn't
cord.
that,
Need a bungee cord.
like that movie Gravity, where Sandra Bullock, where George Clooney went and flew
That
off
was
because
Bruce McCandless. There's a picture of him in the man maneuvering unit, flying around by himself. He was his own personal spaceship. But they don't use that much anymore. There's no reason to get that far away from the ship.
Yeah, that was just a test thing they did to see if it would work.
Yeah.
And it did. And they said, okay, well, it's nice to know it works, but felt kind of dangerous, so let's not
Not do
that
it.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case
You don't
something
want
goes
to
wrong and you go
actually
flying
float
off
away.
into nowhere.
Yeah. Don't want to do that. You'll be becoming part of the orbit of the stuff. Remember that old Andy Griffin show? We keep going back to it. The Space Junk, where he was wasn't that the name of it?
Salvage
Space Junk?
One.
Oh.
Yes. Years and years ago, where he went out in space and just went and got all the debris out there and brought it back. And I'm like, that's what we need.
Yes.
We need somebody to go out there and capture that and start bringing it back to Earth or whatever.
Yeah, and the space capsule was made out of a cement mixer.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
God, what year was that program? That was like, was that the 70s? That was
It had to have been, yeah.
yes, because
79.
for years and years. 1979. Oh my God! But I keep thinking about that every so often when they start talking about the space junk, and it's like we need Andy Griffith to come back and do that.
In I should have my brother go find this. In Talala, Oklahoma. Let me post that link. There is basically a cement mixer that broke down and just left it by the side of the road. You can see it on Google Maps and Google Street View. They painted it looking like a space capsule.
Oh, cool.
Just driving along the side of the road.
Well, that depends on how far away it is from where your brother lives.
Yeah. I don't know. Between Talala and Wingaganon.
Wow.
I don't know how far that is from Tulsa.
Oh, that is great.
Native American names there. Okay. All right, Steve.
Guess that it's not too far from Tulsa. Tulsa would probably be the nearest city.
Your brother's in Jenks, right?
Yeah.
Wherever that is.
Yeah. That's why you say Tulsa. Depending on how close someone is, yeah, we live in Rochester. No, we're in Fairport, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we're in Parrenton. We're not even in Fairport.
That's true.
There was let me bring this on. There was a really neat and still is a website that Goddard Space Center is doing called Where is Webb, and they're doing real-time tracking of the James Webb Telescope, and they went through all the mission sections where they were deploying the sun shield and deploying the mirrors. Now they are tensioning the mirror segments. And actually, that brings up the point someone had made earlier about glasses that can refocus themselves. There are motors behind each one of the segments so that they can slightly change the angle and orientation of the mirror segment so they can bring something into sharper focus. and it's kind of easy to extend that to glasses, where there might be little tensioning motors on the four corners, like an Etch-a-Sketch, so that you could tension something to focus short or focus near or focus far, based on how you tension the lens. So that would be pretty cool. What I get a kick out of now is the difference between the hot side and the cold side. 500-degree difference
Yikes. Yeah.
between the hot side and the cold side.
So what are they aiming for ultimately on that? I didn't
It's cool.
quite
It
get.
works.
What? Well,
Right,
yeah.
it's-
What's absolute zero? So
They're trying to shield it from the sun so that the infrared cameras will work
Right.
properly. They won't be overwhelmed. by
but
the
what?
sun.
Yeah. What are they? What is their target temperature? It doesn't say. But they are. It does say that it's going to take about 5 months to completely cool down and begin measurements. So we're not going to see first light for about 5 months. Well, they might do first light before then, but not until not until it is completely cooled. Is it going to be working the best? Yeah. What I got a real kick out of is watching the speeds and the distance.
Oh yeah, it's really moving.
Well, no, it's slowing down dramatically. It was doing almost a mile per second when it launched.
Yeah.
In the first week, it made it halfway there,
Yeah.
and the second week, it makes it halfway left. So as it's slowing down, it's eventually going to reach basically zero relative speed, and so it's going to be locked. It's going to be orbiting the L2 point, but in relation to Earth, it's going to be moving at the same speed as Earth. So it's going to be in synchronicity with our orbit. So it's going to have a relative speed of zero to us.
What exactly is it that they're able to orbit? There's like nothing really there. Is it balanced gravity or something? Or what?
Yeah. So the L2. Let me see if they have a. Let me find it again. They have a video of the orbit. The L2 point is a balancing between the Earth and the Sun gravity. And there, let's see if this is what I think it is. And so what's going to happen, dismiss, is it's going up and down around this L2 point. Which doesn't need any fuel, basically. So they had so much more fuel left over after their course corrections that they think they have more than 10 years of fuel left to do any minor changes in their course. So there's this gravitational point where the gravity is equalized between each body, and is virtually so then the effect is virtually zero. But it's never perfect, so that's why they decided to orbit L2, and they do have enough reaction fuel to adjust that, again, because there's not a perfect alignment of gravity. And you've got the solar wind blasting at it. In fact, there was a cute thing when they deployed the sun shield, and if you see in the animation, the sun shield is facing the sun, blocking out Earth and the moon, and so the actually that might be a good one to play. The James Webb Twitter site, so they have a Twitter handle, of course, blocked the sun Twitter handle, blocked the Earth Twitter handle, and blocked the moon Twitter handle because they can't talk to him anymore. So the sun shield is blocking the sun. Yeah, so the orbit looks really weird if you look at it from above, and in our position or not. In fact, I don't want to play those too often because YouTube will take us down for playing a YouTube video on YouTube.
Oh.
Steve, I have a question about what you just said.
Yep.
If that happens, do they just block that part of the video, or do they block the entire video, or do they block you entirely from posting video?
They can do all of it. What they typically do is block you from monetizing, if we were monetizing. Sometimes they can block the entire video from being uploaded. We ran into that a couple of years ago when I played a 2-minute Apple commercial for whatever their new product was. The content monitoring system blocked the entire 2-hour video from being viewed because of this 2-minute copyright violation. Sometimes they will block it out and go black for that 2 minutes, or however long it was. What we see a lot with the sound bites, the bumper music that we play between commercials will often get caught by the content blocker. And the annoying thing is that we're a radio station. We have the rights to air this music on the internet because we pay that license, but there's nowhere inside of YouTube we can tell them that. We have to submit a claim for every video every week, basically, where there's an automatic copyright violation. So what I usually just tell it to do is substitute that music for non-copyrighted music. But it's a huge problem, especially because what we are doing is legal under fair use for education and comment. But there's no way for the automatic systems to know that, so you have to file a response and dispute their block, which is annoying.
Okay. Well, getting back, anybody have any Q&A they want to ask some questions of? Since we've jumped far afield here?
Literally. We're almost 1 million miles out.
Yep.
Yeah, how far out are we?
Far
You-
enough.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Are you hearing an echo?
Yes. A little bit.
I'm not.
Did you just stop hearing it? Did you just stop hearing the echo, Ken?
I don't hear an echo, but I've been told from other people I echo.
Okay.
Echo.
Because you don't have a headphone on, probably. So your microphone is picking up your speakers and getting an echo back and forth.
I was temporarily checking our streams on YouTube and Facebook, and to do that, I kicked up the volume till it was audible to make sure it had audio, and I have now stopped that. So if the problem stops, the problem was me.
Okay.
Yeah, if you
I didn't
mute
hear
yourself in Zoom before you do that, then it won't feed that audio into your microphone.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ken, you're fine now.
Yeah, I don't hear any echo.
The devices are trying to cancel that echo out. It's been added into the software on most video conferencing systems because they know a lot of people don't have headsets. So they're trying to use the microphone to block out what the speakers are playing. In fact, a lot of times if you mute yourself and then try talking, especially in Zoom, you'll get a message that you're muted because it knows you're talking and it knows the microphone is muted, and it will remind you that you're muted.
It has done that to me. And also I would point out that I am mainly watching the meeting here on Zoom on my MacBook without headphones. And I don't think it's causing any feedback problem.
Yeah, every new version of the program helps and tries to eliminate that feedback even more.
But when I do check the iPad for those, for the YouTube and the Facebook,
Yep.
I will mute my MacBook Zoom mic.
Yeah, and that's more because of the delay in the system, where the YouTube video is a second or two behind. And so that's what
Right.
the microphone picks up and can't cancel it because it isn't what's playing now.
And if you are familiar with the NIST radio station WWV in Colorado that they were going to scrub, that apparently was saved in the budget. And I was thinking, silly me, if they got rid of that radio transmitter, would they have something on the internet to substitute for it? And the answer is no, because of the latency.
And yeah, there are a bunch of internet clocks, but nothing you can really standardize on because of the latency involved. And well, even what's interesting with radio, there's a latency and delay built in, but it's the speed of light, or the speed of sound with a radio wave. So the GPS satellites compensate for that because they know their altitude, and they'll compensate for the differences in the time delay between the audio playing and getting to them.
I just try to mute my audio when I'm not speaking, and that way it reduces a lot of the issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of a general etiquette. When you're not speaking, mute your audio. Then we don't hear the phone ring. We don't hear someone going to the bathroom. Then you got to remember to unmute yourself. Yeah, the joke is it's like a seance. Is Bill here? Anyone seen Bill? Ellie, you're muted.
If people have things they want to bring up for Q&A, please go ahead and do it. I do have one item I want to discuss for, it may take at least 5 minutes before we wrap up the meeting, but I can wait till later.
I have speaking of audio, so I'm on the SE now, and compared to the 6S Plus, what's the difference in the speakers? Because I find the SE to be much louder. Like the 6S Plus I put at full volume and I'm fine with it and it's comfortable, but the SE is much louder, but also it's like tinier and grates on my ears. I mean, I turned it down, but it's like the quality of the sound to me is not as good, although it's much louder.
Well, one of the issues is that the 6S Plus is so much physically bigger, it can have bigger, better quality speakers.
So the quality, but they're not as loud. So
there's there's kind of a what's the word I want? There's been a push for lowering the volume of devices to cut down on hearing loss. That's affecting people from listening to too loud of music when you're young, and just the general noise of life. So there is a setting somewhere. Let me see if I can find it in the phone called the volume limiter that limits the maximum volume you can get to as a way of cutting down on possible hearing damage. I don't see where it is now. There's a time limit. Volume limit. No, that's accessibility. Let me check here. iPhone. Let me just do a quick Google search here. Oh, they removed the limit, the limiter in iOS 14.
Oh. Because in mine there's a thing called headphone audio, and there's a headphone safety thing.
Yeah,
that's where you can tell.
That's where it is, under safety, not limiter.
Yeah.
Where do you find it?
Share your screen with us again, Steve, if you want.
On mine, it's sound and haptics, and then
yeah, it's on the phone. I'm not in the phone yet.
Again,
let me see if I can bring up the phone window.
Headphone audio.
Yeah, reduce loud sound.
if I find an image here. iPhone sound safety.
It's in the sounds and haptics.
Yeah. Reduce loud sounds. So that could also have been on your iPhone 6. You had the volume limit on, so it couldn't go as loud as the SE does.
It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I don't think that the 6S Plus is too quiet, but it's just that the SE was so much louder. Like, you know, so maybe if you were in another room or something, but it's just my ears are really sensitive. It like hurts when there's a certain, I don't know, tinny like frequency, and the SE is like hurting my ear. So is that in general just because of the size?
Generally, yeah, the smaller speakers are going to be tinnier and not as much bass performance. Is this the SE or the SE2?
The two.
Here's no sound. How to make your sound louder. Go through the EQ setting, turn off reduce loud sounds. Sounds like you want loud sound reduction to be on so that it doesn't overwhelm you with a loud noise.
I found the reduced loud sounds on the 6S Plus, so let's see if I can find it on the SE. Oops. I still have 14 on that and 15 on this.
And there's also differences between the speaker and the headphone jack. So you may get different options if you have headphones plugged in.
I try not to use headphones because it's for ear damage reasons.
They just came out with a new update, 15.2.1.
Yeah, I saw that announced today. I just got 15.2 installed. I usually wait a while before I load the updates. Let someone else find the problems.
Yeah. Robert, we had the Bob. Remember with your computer and my computer, the did an update, broke computer. Gonna go back and wait for the next update date. It came out pretty much.
What broke?
Remember on your iMac, you had to put in system 11 or 15, whatever it was.
Froze up. We had to reload the operating system.
Yeah, we had to put in a lower. What was it? 11, I think. And you were at 10.15, so we went back to 10.15.
Yeah, I'm at 10.15 now, Catalina.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called, but the next one up.
Big Sur.
I don't know. I know I was several behind. That's why I tried to update it. But
does anybody use Quicken?
I'm using it.
Yeah. The other day, I had a problem where I went to go load it, and it said cannot find the. What is it? It was probably a server problem because can't find your cloud account. Make a new one. So to do that and worked.
Try going into the web browser and logging into your Quicken account, just to make sure that you've got the right password and you can actually log in.
Yeah, so I was on the support for like 2.5 hours, and they couldn't fix it. The next day, I was able to get on. You know, so it was probably a server problem, but it was just very frustrating. You know, thinking, all my data is gone. It's all messed up. now what do I do? You have everything on Quicken.
I I get annoyed by the ads. Like every time you open Quicken, there's an ad to buy the next version or buy the next higher version with a few more features.
Yeah.
And then so one day I took advantage of the 50% off sale and upgraded from 2017 to 2021, and they still keep sending me ads. So I
Well,
bought your thing. Stop sending me ads. Well, here's something more you can buy. Well, no.
well, they don't have a standalone anymore. It was, I think, with the 2017 or 18, and then they stopped. Oh, you could use it, but you wouldn't be able to download any of your
Yeah.
accounts.
So they're sold as a 1 year subscription, but it's still a program you load on your own computer. You don't have to go to Quicken Online yet. Um, but the subscription is just for the automatic downloading from your financial institutions. If you don't do that, you can let your subscription lapse, and the program just keeps working.
Right, but also does is it will automatically update it, or you can upgrade.
Yeah, if
when
you're paying a subscription, you can upgrade to the new version all the time.
Right, and not have to pay extra for it, even though you're paying. I think I'm paying $50 a year.
Yeah, that was, I don't know why, but that always just seems expensive to me.
It does, but for me, this is something that I have everything.
Yeah.
All my bank accounts and financial institutions, so I have everything in one place. So for $50, it's worth it.
Yep. And it's probably deductible too, right? Because you Yeah, do you know if AARP is going to be doing their tax preparation service this year yet?
Yeah, we are doing it.
In person is what you meant.
I don't know. They're not sure yet how it's going to work. It may be where they did it last year, where you drop off taxes and they will scan them and they will do all the things, and then I think you come back later and get them. Or some people may be working at home and doing it. I my Chromebook to do so. A lot of work, I'll tell you.
Well, I went out to Lyle's house last year for him to do the taxes for me. So he lives way out.
Well,
yeah,
it's not way out for him. We're way out for him.
Yeah, I know, but it's quite a distance to go out. I mean, he's got a gorgeous home, but it's like, from here, it's a ways.
I think Spencerport.
Yeah,
Your
way out in the country.
Your camera's off, Shirley.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to turn it back on.
Tap the icon that has the video with an X through it. Now you muted yourself. That was the speaker.
User. Okay, so am I on now?
In doing these the taxes, I didn't realize how much, but they really put you through the ringer, and you have to know a lot of the tax law and everything. It's very interesting. So I'm looking forward to doing it.
Well, you'll learn quite a bit from doing it.
Oh yeah.
And I know Lyle's been doing it for quite a few years. So, we used to have a tax preparer that we paid, fairly good sum to. And then when I saw the AARP thing, it was like, I can do it for free. Why am I paying him all this money? Much as I like him and everything, I kind of felt bad not using him last year, but it's a savings of a good chunk of change. But, you have to make choices as to what works for you.
Free is cheap.
Free is good. especially when it's somebody that I know, that I trust. It's not like, Lyle's a stranger. So it's like, if he was, I would be like, I wouldn't do it probably, but,
Right.
so it's again, are you, again, it's only numbers too. So he's just following a format just like you are. So it's,
It also helps that our taxes aren't that tricky.
Right. I mean, there's ARP can't do all taxes, all tax returns. We have to be certified in a certain area. So, like if you have a business, we can do your taxes if you have a business, if you're the sole proprietor. But if you have employees and everything, we can't do your taxes for you. Get an accountant or somebody else.
Or
but you should know that though too. That you can't, certain things you can't do too.
for individual taxpayers, I use a free company through the New York State tax website, and my finances are so dirt simple that I don't have to. Let's put it this way: I skip a lot of pages that I don't have to fill in, but those pages look pretty thorough. And there is an income limit on how high you can go and still have the service free, but I think it's fairly high. If you go through, I believe it's tax.ny.gov. But the trick is you have to do it that way. You have to start from the New York State tax site, and then it lists these different companies that you can choose from. The one I use is OLT, Online Taxes, and I've used it for a number of years, and it seems to do pretty well. Sometimes I have to remember line 59. Don't leave line 59 blank.
What's
line
that?
59 is the sales tax on internet purchases, right? And there's a little table based on your income where the amount actually went down last year, and I think it may be because more and more online merchants are collecting sales tax.
Already,
anyway.
So if you keep track of all of your online receipts, you can deduct the exact amount, or not deduct. You report the exact amount versus taking the standard amount that they offer. Depends on how many online sales you've done and how good you are in your record keeping.
Correct, and it also depends on the size of the purchases. And the first year that I interacted with that, I attempted to do that, and they didn't have room for. And I'm not faulting online taxes here. I'm faulting New York State. That they didn't really have room to put in a whole lot of purchases. So I just went with the standard thing they tell you, and it's fine. Then I end up doing the whole thing for free, and then I have to write a check for $16 or something to the New York State Tax Department.
That's not bad though.
I tried itemizing back in 1994 because I had moved and I thought, oh yeah, I've got tons of expenses. And I went through and I added everything up and kept all my receipts and everything. And I did all this work to keep track of it all and report it all. And when I was all done, it turned out that the standard deduction was going to be more than what I would have gotten with all the.
Yes,
so I said, I am never doing that ever again.
I think they've actually raised that amount too in that standard. Yeah. Plus, since I don't own a home, and I am fortunate not to have thousands and thousands of dollars in medical expenses, I looked at it once or twice years ago and then decided that in my case it didn't apply.
Well, one thing I've learned this year, which is sort of off the subject, is, Social Security is going up this month, starting for the year, right?
Yay.
Right.
Because cost of living. However, they
Not
went
as much as inflation.
No, but the premium went up like almost $25 starting this year too. But yes, so part of that was due to this cancer drug that was very expensive that they had decided they were going to start covering, I guess. But as it turned out, there's a big issue with it now. And the manufacturer dropped the price by 50% for this drug. So now there's talk that they're going to give that money back to you. So your premium is not going to be $25 more. It's going to go more like $10 more, or whatever it is, as they recalculate it. So we'll see how that ends up, you know, and when that's going to take effect. So that was something from a drug company in our favor.
Yeah, it's very unusual. That
yes, it is.
I may be mistaken about this, but the thing that's deducted from my Social Security is Medicare Part B, which is
right, the premium.
Outpatient medical services. However, I think that Medicare Part D, which is the drugs, is a totally separate thing that is funded by the government with co-payments that I have to make.
Well, the payment that you have to pay for it is that $170.
No, not that. I think
whatever the premium is.
I think you're thinking of Medicare Part B, as in boy.
Okay. All right.
Is for outpatient medical services like visits to the doctor's office.
All right. All right. That's you're probably right.
I think when Bush W started Medicare Part D, it was, quote, totally separately paid for by the government, except for the parts you don't pay for.
Well, do you have Epic?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And I also fall into the donut hole because of the one drug I'm on that is fairly reasonable for the first 3 fills of the year. And then when I hit the fourth 90-day fill, I think the last time around it was maybe 300 some odd bucks or something like that. So, bang.
Well, I have a question.
My wife runs into that at the end, and like when she gets her last prescription at the end of the year, it puts her in the donut hole, and then she has to pay $350 for that drug.
Right.
I have a question about Medicare, and I've been for the last several years. I've had a no premium policy with Excellus, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I didn't pay. It was paid directly from Social Security. Now I got an email advising me of premium due, that I'm supposed to be paying them, but it's supposed to be paid automatically. Did they change anything this year? That
I didn't hear. Who administers your benefits? You work from the school district, right?
Me?
Right. Didn't the school district is paying this, or?
No, I'm not.
Because I know my friend worked for the state and they reimbursed the premium, so she never has to pay for it.
No, I've been retired for 12 years. You know, I'm not.
Okay, and you've never paid the premium?
It's always been zero.
Oh,
the premium for the last several years was zero.
I would say
zero. It was zero to me, and they took it directly out of Medicare.
Right.
And I assumed they were going to do that again this year, but I got an email and it looked like they wanted me to pay.
I'd call them.
Well, what I do is I go through my stuff. It's a place called T65, and it's for people, you know, on Medicare over 65. And they have a seminar every year, and they go through all the insurances and all the different changes that are going to be for everything. But they're very good about answering any questions you have about things like that, because I called him on numerous occasions about things that I saw, what I read, whatever, and they always help.
Excuse me.
There might be a place for you to call to ask him that question.
I'm going to call it sellers first.
Yeah, I would do that, but I mean, because they should be able to tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I would think you would have been aware of that before they ever, you know, before the January ever started in the new year, kind of thing, to say, oh, now you owe money. It's like they should have sent you something before that telling you about this.
Okay, well, we are way off topic.
I know we are.
But it's been very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we are learning.
What is the topic?
Yes.
Whatever we want to talk about.
It's
Well, once we've ended the meeting, you can do that, but
Well,
we haven't
it is
really done that. And I know Charlie still has
Not
something he
ended,
wants to
but
talk
what is the
about.
topic? What is allowable?
Yes.
right now Charlie wants to talk about something, right? You said there was like 5 minutes or something that you wanted.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, I would like to. Is everybody okay if I go ahead and do that?
Sure.
Sure.
This takes off from an idea that Bob Hoey brought up, quite a while ago. It could be a year ago now, something like that. It also connects to our earlier discussion of copyrighted material on the YouTube stream and God knows Facebook too. Now, who knows? But Bob's suggestion at the time had been that, if this is partly to take the load off Steve for having to do presentations a lot, and also partly to save Steve and Shirley in particular from having to dig up speakers for us. But his suggestion was that we could, and the only site I'm familiar with, and again, because of Bob, is MacMost. And the guy who runs that, Gary Rosenzweig, has a whole bunch of videos about Mac and Apple type topics. Now, the problem was that we couldn't, stream it during our meeting. But it occurred to me that what we could do in a meeting, a hypothetical meeting here, is open the meeting, talk for a while and so on. And then, and this is going to take a few steps here until I get all the parts, but Steve could put into the Zoom chat the URL for a video that we have selected. And people could click on that, watch the video, which might be somewhere around 10 or 15 minutes, and then return to the Zoom meeting.
If everyone clicks start at the same time, we can watch it together.
Well, yes, no, right. But the thing is that I don't know whether it is, I'm thinking here also in terms of the, and again, I don't know much about the Facebook streaming and whether we have recorded sessions available through Facebook. So I'm not going to worry about it because that's just another case comparable to YouTube for my present purposes. But in YouTube, in the stream, a person would start watching our meeting, the recorded version of it. And at some point, Steve would say, we are now going to watch a video, which would not be streamed on the YouTube stream. People who post YouTube videos often will, in comments, pin a URL for another video. So a person watching a recorded session of one of our meetings on YouTube could go to the comments, click on that URL, watch the video, and then return and finish watching our YouTube stream. I don't know whether it's possible to transfer things from the Zoom comments to the YouTube comments. I don't know whether how feasible it would be to put that link in the YouTube comments during the live stream of our meeting on YouTube. But that's the gist of it. And I was hoping to bring this up with, we're down to pretty much, we have only one or two, maybe one more person than the board here, two. And get feedback from members in two forms. One, about whether, how they felt about us trying this, but also if people wanted to suggest various sites that have that kind of Apple product oriented video on them. I could Google that subject and look for them myself, but in many cases, members are going to already be familiar with those sites and able to suggest them. So for present purposes and with an eye toward the YouTube stream of tonight's meeting, I would also like to invite any members or anybody who watches the YouTube video of tonight's meeting and has a favorite site that has videos of the sort I'm talking about to email us through the Apple CIDER homepage link to email the board and let us know what they think. So I think I got all the parts there. What do people think about that?
Well, I have one site to suggest to you right now. You can just pencil it down. Ask Dave Taylor.
Yeah, I read him too.
Yeah, we can come up with a list of these things. I'm not going to attempt to make particular notes about them right now.
That's the only two that I have in my list. Ask Dave Taylor and Mac Most.
Well, good. So we'll discuss this further at next week's board meeting. But Steve, from a technical standpoint, does that sound feasible?
Yeah. We would just have to decide what we want to feed into YouTube and Facebook while everyone is off watching that video.
Well, in other words, while everyone is off watching that video, they would be pausing the YouTube stream, whether it's live or recorded. They would not be watching that.
Right, but something would have to be playing in it if we did it during a live meeting.
People might tune in later, you know.
Well,
we could put a big text sign up. Go to this link and watch it. Yeah.
They have that text bounce around on the screen too, so that people know it's not just frozen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, good point. But that's the kind of thing I was thinking of, was that we would put up something that amounts to a slide on the screen that says at this time, you pause watching YouTube and click on the link in the comments to watch a video that we will discuss after the video is over. Something like that.
We can play elevator music.
But because you see, my next question is to Steve, is whether it is possible to temporarily, and this is just icing on the cake, it wouldn't have to happen, to separate the Zoom stream or Zoom meeting from the YouTube stream and just show during our live meeting on Zoom, show the video on the Zoom.
Pong. Show Pong
Yeah.
and play elevator music.
Yeah, they are separated. Every time we change something on one, I have to manually change it on the other one.
What do you mean change something?
When I switch between the Zoom screen and the Safari screen, I have to change it once in Zoom and once in OBS for YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, but right off the bat here, do people think it might be worth talking about this further and thinking about whether we want to do it and how we would do it?
I think you need to try it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, do it for a meeting and then get some feedback about it afterwards.
Yeah. I think it could work if we made sure that it was something short, you know, like say 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what we could try it out at the board meeting first.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See how it works, and if it works, then we extend it into the regular meeting. And see if people like it.
Right. Now, just one other question. And at times like this, when we're streaming live on YouTube, are comments accessible? They may not exist. There may not be any comments right now. But
there's one in a foreign language I don't recognize.
All right, hang on a minute. Crap, what am I on here? So I want this, and then I want to do this.
Talking about just in the chat, in Zoom.
Yeah, in the YouTube chat.
Well, yeah, but
the YouTube chat, Zoom chat, and Facebook chat are all separate.
Right, but are YouTube comments the same, quote permanent record of the YouTube live chat, or are they a separate thing?
They're attached to the video.
All right, I'm getting welcome to YouTube. How do I see?
Well, it would be above that to see the previous chats messages.
Okay, I'm seeing on the YouTube stream, I'm seeing a comment from Oksana, somebody or other.
Yeah.
Triboyadova. and that's the only thing I'm seeing
Yeah,
without.
that's only one.
without
That's the only comment there has been.
and she says VUR FYI. But okay, so well, we'll have to think about the technicalities and doing a trial run of it during the board meeting, if that's feasible, might be a good thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So do we have any other questions, or should we end the meeting officially at 10 o'clock and then can still discuss things after? How's that sound?
Sounds good.
That's fine.
All right, then we'll officially end it right now, 10:01. And then we'll just keep chatting.